Welcome back to the Barca Breakdown. My name is Adam. I'm here with Yus.
What's up, guys? Smash that subscribe button. We just won. Big game against Sevilla, 3-0 away, which is huge because Sevilla have been struggling this season. They only have 1 point, they have 3 losses, and they're at 17th on the table. And we kind of heard that they've been doing a bad job this season. And coming into this game, you know, we've had a pretty good start to the season so far, not counting that Rayo Vallecano game. But I'm really, really happy with the outcome of this game. To be honest, at some point, I kind of felt bored near the second half, right?
Totally. Yeah, I mean, we just dominated, right? In a way I did not expect because Sevilla have so often in the last, 5+ seasons been a really hard team to beat, especially away. And they've been, fighting for second, third, fourth in La Liga for so long. This season looks like they're about to sack their coach for some bad performances. And like you said, we had a rough, first 20 minutes of the game. And I was very worried because if we take a step back and we think about the month of September, Champions League football is here. And we have a tough schedule in that group of death. We just won 4-0 against Villadolid when we kind of cautioned everyone to think, hey, they're not a very good team. We need to test ourselves against really higher level competition. Sevilla could have been it, but again, this season they're not looking that good. Like you said, after the first 20 minutes or so, it was really a walk in the park. And then the last 25 minutes of the game, our players were kind of snoozing through, and we saw some uninspired performances from Ferran Torres, unfortunately. Fati didn't look that great. But the one thing I'm very happy about as we move into the Sevilla game and kind of looked at what happened here is that, and I had said this last week, that I really wanted to see Gavi put out a consistent lineup. Xavi put out a consistent lineup so that we could see players grow. Because the first few games in the preseason, we'd had so much turmoil with not knowing who's going to come in. We had Araujo at right back. We were still moving around things in the midfield because Busquets had a red card for that game against La Real. And so this time we have Xavi playing the same 11 as against Valladolid. And it's huge for us because we're coming against the Prague team, right? Probably the worst team in our Champions League group. Czech team coming up against them. I think it's on Wednesday. Yeah. Then we have Cadiz at the weekend, and then we have Bayern Munich, I believe, in Munich coming up the week after, 10 days from now. And so I'm happy to see the team finally get a consistent start. Yus and I had not been big fans of Eric Garcia and Gavi. And, we just did this video here. Please take a look on it on YouTube with the purist Jalil talking about, when would Frenkie de Jong or Gavi be better, as well as how did it solve Dembele and Raphinha on, being better right-wing players. And what do you know? Gavi comes out and has a very wonderful game, possibly man-of-the-match performance. Eric Garcia comes out again, looks just so solid this season. Huge improvements by him on the defensive end. We always knew his passing was good. And scores his first goal, I think, for Barca officially in the first team. And so let's get into the lineup use. Why don't you just lay it out? We all remember it from last week, and then talk to us about kind of how you navigated through that first 20 minutes.
Sure. So obviously we had, as you just said, Eric Garcia and the Rajos by his side, and then we had on the wings Balde again and Koundé. This is the same lineup as Valladolid, but Busquets, Pedri, and Gavi, and then the front Raphinha, Dembele, and Lewandowski, where Raphinha actually started on the right side with Dembele on the left side, which hasn't really been something that Xavi has been doing.
To start, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So they were very dynamic in other games, but this game it seemed like Dembele stuck to that left side while Raphinha stuck to the right side, so a little different choices strategically in that. But let's get into the first, 20 minutes of the game where it seemed like we were really struggling to move the ball forward. Sevilla had a lack of press, on Ter Stegen and our center back. So one of our problems, I think, was the midfield was just not really present. They were too far up the pitch. We weren't able to transition the ball forward, and all of Sevilla's men were already covering all of them, so we couldn't get the ball up there.
And then once they got the ball, they were just hoofing it to a runner on the back line and came so close to scoring goals. And again, it's second clean sheet in a row, and I feel like oftentimes we're not giving Ter Stegen his full dues, but he has continued to keep us in the game, right? I think there was at least one official save in that first 20 minutes and then another one that, was eventually waved offside, and Ter Stegen kept us in. And like you were saying, it was chaotic, right? And I don't think Barca are going to win a lot of games where there's a lot of chaos. That's not necessarily what suits our team well. The chaos we want is when we're able to transition the ball to Dembele running forward like he did on that first goal, right? He's running forward like you said on the left. He finds Lewandowski in front of him. Lewandowski shoots, just barely misses, and then Raphinha is able to put it in for that first goal.
And that's what really broke Sevilla after that, right? I think we finally figured out the strategy, and Xavi really told, I think, Gavi to drop back and help the defense so he could. A lot of times, that's where it started. Gavi was able to get the ball back from one of their attackers, and then we pushed the ball in a quick return, which was that Dembele goal that you just talked about. And so I think he really just transitioned from a very offensive game to a very defensive game to get the ball forward. And
that's his strength, right? I think on the video we did, again, with Jaleel, the purist, and you, we were talking about how Gavi, the one thing he definitely offers, no doubt about it, is an ability to, he has like more muscle, more physical play than Frankie de Jong, and he's also a bit better on the defensive end, pressing and getting the ball back. And like you said, we had that video, we talked about where Gavi's better, and then boom, the first game, he comes up for the first goal, shows that his defensive ability and work rate is really helping us to put goals on the board.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, and this is the issue we've had a few times this season, right, is where our midfield kind of gets iced out of the game by the opposing defenses, especially Busquets and Pedri. And the thing is, if our midfield gets the ball and is able to put it forward to Dembele or Raphinha making a run, I mean, they're just going to cause so much havoc, right? Like,
you just have to get it there.
We just have to get it there, and it's oftentimes not going to come in that type of breakaway from either Koundé or Balde on the left and right side. And so, you just keep looking at these games and thinking to yourself, like, we're so blessed to have Raphinha and Dembele. They're both playing so well. Dembouz, I'm a big Dembouz fan. At the end of that first half, he had a crazy run where Lewandowski it started with a clearance from our box from Pedri. Dembele's running. Lewandowski, 34 years old, huffing it down there. Might have needed his inhaler after the run. And Dembele, instead of passing it, tries to do a little chip and misses. And so, really quick, okay. We all have that bad memory of when it's 3-0, Barca versus Liverpool, and Dembele misses the goal, I think, in like the 95th minute. And I just, listen, everything's fine because we won. We won again, 3-0, clean sheet, more than 2-goal victory, just like last week. But if Dembele does that against Bayern Munich or Inter Milan in a big knockout stage game where that's going to cost us advancing to the groups, there's going to be a lot of pitchforks out, including my own as a big Dembele fan. So I just need him to, in those situations, be a little bit more willing to pass the ball to Lewandowski.
That's the thing, though. This season, he's been that guy. And I don't understand why all of a sudden he just changed on that decision. He was pretty well covered.
That's the thing, though. He hasn't really changed, right? Dembele is providing a lot of assists.
No,
the first goal was through him.
Uh-huh.
He had an assist to Pedri and Lewandowski last week. So it's not necessarily that Dembele is a selfish player. It's just his decision-making at the very end of plays sometimes is not that good. And again, we did see as well with Ferran Torres, him and Dembele need to practice their shooting.
Oh my God! I mean, so many skies.
Dembele had a few, but Ferran Torres really had a few just skied balls, and so I'd really like to see them, just practice more on their shooting and their.
But I will say what I really enjoyed was the first goal. We had all three attackers involved in that goal, and that was really nice to see. All of them touching the ball. Obviously, Lewandowski wasn't trying to pass to Raphinha, but he was following there, and that was the result of that goal. And then the second goal, I want to highlight Koundé's just beautiful pass from the right side, and just perfectly, Lewandowski just God-carded that one, just right off his chest and slotted it in. If we can get a goal like that in the Champions League, I don't know what I'd do. That'll be fantastic.
Against Bayern Munich in Munich, that is a dream.
I don't know about that, but
and
we'll
then
see.
The third goal, right, was a unique situation where it was all of our center backs and defenders, Koundé, Eric Garcia, Araujo in the box, and Eric Garcia was able to put one away and take us that W.
You know what was interesting? That was from a set piece on the corner, and we actually had Raphinha and Dembele on that side, and they were kind of doing 1-2 touch passes, and then I think the idea was, as Lewandowski was sitting back with the other midfielders, he was drawing the attention away and having all the center backs forward or the defenders forward. They wasn't really expecting that kind of goal to happen, but it ended up working out pretty nice. And I would say that's one highlight is normally our set pieces are pretty poor. This one actually seemed like there was a little more effort, a little more strategy involved in it. So I was happy about that. But after the Eric Garcia goal, we start to make a bunch of subs. The game is, like you said at the beginning, just kind of ends up not really being much. We kind of get lazy and tired, but
one thing I do want to talk about. I am really happy with the fact that we're putting away our opportunities, right? We have 3 goals this game, 4 goals against Villadolid, and then we're able to rest players. This game was a little bit wild. It's really hot where we are in Southern California. It's like 100 degrees outside, which is insane, and it's very hot in Spain as well. And so you saw a lot of players cramping up. You saw Gavi cramping bad. You saw Araujo, feeling his knee a few times throughout the game. And so what's really great about us being clinical, putting away chances, and then also having that squad depth thanks to Laporta and Alemany is that we're able to sub Pedri off, right? Pedri, who had major health issues last year because of just overplaying with, the season under Koeman, the Euros, the Olympic games he played in. And so to have Pedri being able to be subbed off, awesome. To have Dembele being subbed off because he has a history, although thankfully, cross your fingers, not recently, has a history of injuries, boom, sub him off, easy, right? And so that's just the beauty of us putting away games against these easier opponents, right? I think in, the Koeman, Setien, end of Valverde era, we would struggle through some of these games against teams who aren't on the best of form. And to see us win handily, keep a clean sheet, I mean, we have to be very happy going away from this game. I don't know if there's much to take from it, right? I still think as I look forward, right, we have this game in the Champions League against, what's their name?
Plzen.
Then we have Cadiz at the weekend.
Plzen.
And then Cadiz at the weekend. And then I really think Bayern Munich, that's going to be the first game where I'm going to really see, what this team is made of, right? There's been so many talks lately after we got Koundé, we got Alonso, Dest is gone. And Bellerin is here now as well, so it's interesting to see how we put them into the fold. But there's been so much talk about what are our season expectations, and a lot of people, I think, are way too... They're mixing up what our expectation and our goal is, right? I see a lot of goals out there about win La Liga, win Copa del Rey, and make the semifinals of the Champions League. Really hard for us yet to say if that's where we're going to end up at the end of the season, but we're quickly approaching the games where we're going to be able to kind of evaluate how we perform against big European sides, how we might play against, Real Madrid, etc.
Well, think of it like this. We've gone through just these first 4 games of the season, and nothing has been overly challenging. Even Rayo Vallecano was a little obviously challenging for the first game of the season, but after that, it seems like we've been sweeping teams under the rug. And I think as the season goes on, as you're saying, we're going to play more challenging teams, but it's also going to be kind of hard for us because it's going to start overloading the squad with more difficult teams in a shorter window of time. So that's also going to affect our ability to sub players, like you're saying, kill off teams early and, to do whatever. But that is going to be the real challenge. Plus, you're saying Champions League coming up, Copa del Rey, that's another thing we have to account for.
Midweek game, right? Games every 3 or 4 days. And so, it's at the same time that I love, and it's important for Xavi to have like a, the often used Gala 11 phrase of our, players we're going to put in big games. It's also great that, you see Ferran Torres come on. You see Fati slowly getting back to maybe where he can start soon. You see Kessie getting time, who still is not looking that good, but we got to give him more time. You're seeing Koundé at times, right, switch from right back to center back to get him minutes there in case, an injury happens like today, unfortunately, happened with Eric Garcia. You see Sergio Roberto taking time at right back. And so I'm loving what I'm seeing, right? I think overall sometimes, when you do these quick after the game reaction videos, it can be a little bit pessimistic because that the first 20 minutes of the game were bad, but overall the trend is looking really good. Xavi is doing a good job of adjusting, putting in subs, getting players to be more and more comfortable, and so I'm really happy, guys. And I want to hear in the comments what you guys think. How did you react against this game against Sevilla, and then are you excited for the Champions League coming up this month? Let us know. Hit that sub button. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, guys.